We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
3, 2, 1, 0. We have commenced. We have 7:51 a.m. It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. I was strolling on the moon one day in the merry, merry month of December. Now, May, when much to my surprise, a pair of bunny eyes.
And here we go.
10.
Hydrogen burn-off igniters initiate. 7, 6, 5. 4-stage engine start. 3, 2, 1. And liftoff of Artemis I. We rise together back to the moon and beyond.
And a mighty look at the Artemis II rocket currently sitting on the launch pad, waiting for that return flight to the moon. And we do say hello to you. I'm Allison Walker. Welcome to In Focus. And Florida has long been the United States' gateway to space. And we are coming up on NASA's biggest mission in decades. Artemis II will send 4 astronauts around the moon on a 10-day flight that will take them farther from Earth than any human mission has gone before. And all this part of the broader Artemis effort to establish a long-term return to the moon. So here to discuss this wildly anticipated mission, its significance, and the future of space exploration, we have United States Congressman Mike Herodopoulos. We also have Brevard County Commissioner Katie Delaney and Spectrum News reporter and our space expert, Greg Pallone. You three, gosh, welcome so much to the show. I am so excited to dive into this today. And Congressman Herodopoulos, if I may, just kick it off with you, sir. You know, your district, it includes Florida's launch sites, Kennedy Space Center and Cape Canaveral Space Force Station Center, rather. So explain to me, sir, about your thought bubble, you know, and what your constituents are saying that barrier-breaking efforts like this mission all start from District 8.
Well, it is a great opportunity, Allison. Just couldn't be more excited about it as we see us going back to the moon for the first time since 1972. I not only have the honor of being a member of Congress from this area, but I also chair the Space Committee. And so to see NASA literally take off like it has, as well as our private partners like Airbus, SpaceX, Blue Origin, it's a great time in Brevard County. And what a contrast from a few years ago when we had to rely on the Russians to get to our own space station. America is leading the world once again, and I could not be more excited. You can feel the excitement build here in Brevard County and across the Space Coast, as so many congressmen have been coming up to me. When is the big launch? And we can't wait to have that liftoff and see those 4 astronauts circle the moon for the first time since 1972.
This is huge, wild anticipation indeed. And Commissioner Delaney, you know, then talk to me about the importance of the space industry then in your district. As a relatively new commissioner, has your perspective on the industry changed from civilian life to when you entered elected office?
My perspective didn't really change. We have always, I grew up here, so space has always been part of my life. I've had family members who have worked at the Space Center, and my uncle actually was one of the people that moved down from New York, and that's what led us to move here. And I'm just so grateful and honored to represent this district and represent the people of this area, where we literally write history every day.
And Greg, you are a part of that and have been a part of that for a while as my dear friend and colleague. And you've covered the Space Coast for us for years. We're talking hundreds of launches. So I want to know from you, what are some of the things that make Artemis II just so exciting that you're just sleeping and dreaming and waking up wanting to experience and talk about?
Definitely dreaming a lot about it, Allison, no doubt about it. But as a journalist who gets to document history, especially with this being an historic mission, going back to the moon, as Congressman Herodopoulos said, for the first time since 1972, that's before many of us were around. I was one, so I don't remember at that time, but definitely going to be remembering this and just talking about it out here on the Space Coast. People are buzzing about it. They're so excited about this. We were there for the rollout the other day, and just seeing that massive rocket going 1 mile per hour out to the launch pad, taking 12 hours to get to the pad, and knowing how fast they're going to be going when they launch, and how long it's going to take them to get to the moon. The crew is ready, the team is ready, the excitement is there, the community, and again, this is why we call it the Space Coast.
Yes, it just induces goosebumps even just thinking about this, and it's coming up. And so, Congressman, yeah, I mean, this whole mission, of course, is a follow-up to the 2022 Artemis I mission and the last major NASA mission, but a lot of the action, as we know, on the Space Coast in the last several years has been those commercial launches. So, Congressman, what's different about a mission like this one versus some of the work, say, SpaceX or United Launch Alliance are doing?
Well, as you mentioned, is the fact that we have astronauts going around the moon, which is so vital. Again, this is a long-term endeavor. We want to colonize the moon. We recognize not only, of course, the scientific importance, but also, unfortunately, the realities of a military importance as well. As we know, we're facing threats from China, Russia, and other nations. We want to have the ultimate high ground, and of course, that is space. And what's happening in the private sector, as you mentioned, Allison, is the fact that we have companies, as you mentioned, that are so vital to our community. And of course, the amazing launches that happen about every 3 days with SpaceX. Those are both military and commercial satellites to help with our communications around the world. And the jobs that are being created are really amazing, because we're in programs right now where high school students are actually getting the technical know-how so they can get jobs right out of high school. You don't have to just go to college in order to get these high-paying jobs. And so I'm so thrilled at what is happening on the Space Coast once again. We're seeing booms like never before, maybe since, I guess, the height of the Apollo days when we first landed on the moon in 1969. And so these are vital to our country, it's vital to our community, and we're proud to be a part of this endeavor that I think is just getting started.
That note of just the stamp that Brevard County has, Commissioner, you recently read a resolution recognizing Brevard County's place in space history. So what kind of effect do you see from major launches like this, beyond the industry itself, maybe in terms of, again, visitors coming to witness history, as the Congressman and Greg are alluding to, or perhaps growing the next generation's interest in space?
Absolutely. When I was brought this idea for this resolution, I jumped on board right away, because why should we not honor and memorialize the Space Coast for all the great things that we've done and all the great things that are on the horizon? Think of the events that go on in Tampa. That's what's going to be happening here in Brevard County. Think astronauts, Martians, just a really great, fun event that will bring the whole community together, that will draw tourists. I hope that this expands into an education opportunity, just something to really honor and memorialize our place in space and who we are as a community.
So, Greg, GP, when we talk about Artemis II, it's meant to be the next step toward a permanent human base on the moon, right? With eyes on eventually launching missions to Mars. Those are lofty goals. Why then are those priorities? And then how do you also prioritize the unthinkable challenges that come with it.
Yeah, just stepping back a moment, Allison, when the shuttle program retired back in 2011, I had friends and family from all over the country say, why is NASA shutting down? What are they going to do? Well, that wasn't the case. NASA was refocused on deep space. They wanted to leave low Earth orbit to the commercial companies like SpaceX, like Blue Origin, like United Launch Alliance. They wanted to leave it to those different private companies to handle low Earth orbit, service the International Space Station, and launch satellites. NASA's mission was to go to deep space, and the jump-off point is the moon. As the congressman alluded to, we're going to establish a permanent moon base on the moon for many reasons, but also the main reason is to explore. You need that jumping off point so you can go to Mars and beyond. And so the whole reason for the moon, of course, it's our nearest neighbor, but strategically it's that point where you can go and explore from there on deep space missions. Also, just with Apollo, I'm saying Apollo 8, but like Apollo 8, but also with Artemis II, this is a chance for the astronauts and the crew on board to be subjected to the rigors of space. And so that's why they're going to be doing all types of tests on themselves, also the spacecraft. So all these things that are being done on this initial stage, if you will, is setting the table for deep space missions, long duration missions, and to see how humans can exist way out there.
And to you, Congressman, as we said, you're the chair of the House Committee on Space and Aeronautics. And last year, you held a hearing on Artemis, and focusing especially on costs and a modern space race. So let's dig deeper into that. What were perhaps some of the questions, conversations, concerns that you may have had about the progress on Artemis, and has that hearing, or did that hearing, resolve any of those inquiries?
Well, I think what's most important is that we are focused on, of course, getting back into space, dominating in space once again. As Greg brought up, having that moon base, which is so important for so many endeavors. But we also recognize we're in a space race specifically with China. And so we wanted to make sure that we were doing everything possible to reduce a lot of that red tape, reduce costs, but also accomplish our mission. The great news for the people listening is that back in July, when we passed what was called the Big Beautiful Bill, we actually increased NASA spending by $10 billion, which is an astronomical sum considering the usual NASA budget's around $24 billion. It's something we've been working on in a big way. We were able to produce. And now, of course, with Artemis II, we're excited with those tests that Greg talked about that we'll be better prepared. We'll be the ultimate landing on the moon in hopefully a couple of years with Artemis III. And the way that we get this done best is that you've seen that Jarek Isaacman, the new head of NASA, is a guy from the private sector. We need to get the best out of the public sector and the private sector, what we call a PPP, public-private partnerships that really work well. And that's been a real success with SpaceX, Blue Origin, ULA, as you mentioned before, and others. But this is the victory for our community. A few years ago, a lot of people thought all those jobs are gone. They're just getting started because of these missions, and it will really make for an incredible future for Brevard County and all of the Space Coast. So I'm excited about that. We're taking on these challenges, and we're always looking ways to do it better, faster, and always safe for our astronauts, because we know the challenges they face each and every time they go up in that mission.
Families, yeah. And Congressman, you said Artemis III, just so far out even saying Artemis III. And so, Commissioner, the mission will build off of 2022's Artemis I. So what kinds, perhaps, of benefits did the U.S. space industry, and Florida especially, see from that mission? And how can we then extrapolate what this upcoming mission could do then for Florida's space industry, short and long term?
Well, of course, aside from the scientific information we're going to get back and the strategic advantages we're going to have for the safety and well-being of our country, it's just, it builds up our community so much. The jobs that are here, and we don't really talk about a whole lot the trickle-down jobs, the jobs that are here because the Space Center is here that might not be directly associated with the Space Center. So it's just such a great thing. And one of the things that I've really been working on hard this past year is trying to make connections and relationships with people with the different companies, with NASA, and trying to bring the low level of the everyday life of our citizens here in Brevard County. How do we get that connected with uh, all of the great things that are going on with the Space Center? So I've just really been trying to build on that communication and relationship between the space industry and our local community here.
And Greg, briefly, we know Artemis I had some delays. What kind of timeline are we looking at for some of these next steps with Artemis II?
Well, the timeline right now, NASA always uses the term net, and so right now we're looking at net February 6th for the liftoff of the Artemis II. Of course, there are several windows that are built in with that in the following days. They even have some windows that are coming up in March and even April. So they want to make sure they get it right. They have people on board. They are the number one priority. They want to work out the kinks. This technically is still a test mission. So that's why they're doing all of the experiments and all of the different measures to see how this impacts the astronauts as they go on this 10-day journey. So again, they're very cautious, they're very careful about this, very meticulous, and they'll launch when they're ready. That's what they say, and that's what they need to do to protect the crew, and also to make sure that the teams, the launch team, that they are well rested and focused. They need to be as focused too. So they want to go when they're ready, and again, this is historic, but at the same time, you want to make sure everything is right before you go.
So, Commissioner, some folks are maybe getting their pontoon boats ready, or they're trying to play or figure out how to play hooky from work to do whatever they can to catch the launch when it happens. What are your plans, first of all, and what do you recommend folks to do who want to plan just an epic day out, a historical experience?
Well, I thankfully have the opportunity to be there that day on site. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm very thankful for the opportunity. And for all of our locals and all of the people that are coming here to watch this, we have incredible locations, especially in District 1 along US 1. Of course, Merritt Island has a great view as well. And it's going to be an amazing day. I just hope everybody stays safe and drives safe, and that everybody has a great time with their families and enjoys this historic day.
Indeed, indeed. And Greg, folks see you, Greg, doing general assignment reporting, so you're out covering all kinds of beats, but the fact that you have this knowledge so fierce with space is so admirable, and we always go to you for any guidance and advice as we gear up for these monumental occasions. So give it to us, man. What would you tell us who want to make this just the best that we can make it?
Well, if you are traveling out here to the Space Coast to watch the launch, come out early. Get here early. Make sure you have food and drinks and water and that type of thing. We don't know what the weather is going to be at that time. But again, as Katie mentioned, we have several viewing sites along the Indian River Lagoon in Titusville and in Merritt Island. Really not a bad seat in the house because this is a giant rocket. Fortunately, our crew will be out at the Kennedy Space Center. Hopefully we'll run into Katie, that'd be nice, and we'll be about 4 miles away. The press site is 4 miles away from pad 39B, where that monster rocket is standing as we speak. So again, that's the main thing. Just enjoy the experience, take your time as you're getting out here, but do arrive early. It's going to be a lot of traffic. I know that the Sheriff's Office as well as Titusville PD, they try to guide that. They do a great job in that aspect as well. But again, if you're in the car and you're stuck, just think about the experience that you're going to have and enjoy it with your family.
Advice we shall heed. My colleague Greg Pallone, we have Commissioner Katie Delaney, and also Congressman Mike Herodopoulos. They all thank you so much for joining us here on the show, gearing up for Artemis II. Thank you again.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. To keep up with important issues impacting our communities and hear more conversations with the people who are shaping the future, subscribe to our channel. You can also download our app or find Spectrum News on your TV for balanced, in-depth political coverage and more.